It's a funny thing, isn't it, with the mainstream media? They like to cover everything regarding the ex-royals, Meghan Markle, and rightly so. That's because Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are now micro-celebrities that interest people. And as I've often said here on the show, it's not necessarily about whether they're interesting. It's about what they've had and what they've let go, and more importantly, where they're going. Because the decline sometimes is more fascinating than the rise. I'm sure you'll all agree. However, there's one thing that's recently been happening with the mainstream media that seemingly they've decided to shy away from. And for good reason, some people might say. Of course, over in the land of Montecito, there could have been another reason as to why the, well, shall we say, normally fragrant mainstream media have decided to step away from this particular story. As ever, let me explain. Morning chums, nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome one and all brand new subscribers. It is nice to have your company. Yes, I'm talking to you. And of course, it's a funny thing, isn't it? You know, when you look at the royals and everything that happens, we are fascinated by them, whether we want to admit it or not. And I've often said this on the show, part and parcel, I believe. A lot of it is to do with the fact that, you know, particularly if you're of my generation, you remember the super soaps of the things like the Dallases and the Dynasties. It's about wonderful events that we get to take a peek into, like the recent official state visit of President Trump at Windsor Castle, and you think, wow, is that what really goes on? And now more than ever, we get that opportunity to live through that, and it is fascinating. What's more so interesting is the fact that when there are certain stories that clearly, you know, people don't want you to know about, or indeed, is any of it true? You see, recently, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, well, caused, as they say in the world of tabloid newspapers, shockwaves by debuting this new hair colour. She went blonde for the summer. As I pointed out, she's allowed to do that. Women, that's their prerogative. They can do what they want, simply because they want to change a look, test a look, and if they don't like it very quickly, they go back to what suits them, or indeed what the public like to get them to look at. I think Catherine just looks terrific, personally. One of those lucky people genetically that can carry most things off. You know what I'm saying? Meghan Markle, well, perhaps not so, and I'm not being unkind. But recently a story that's been swirling around, particularly the internet, has got, shall we say, the Montecito duo less than happy. And that's the reason why the mainstream media have decided to step away from that story. Meghan Markle debuted a new look, didn't she, at the Paris Fashion Affair, you know? A very pared down look in many respects, possibly not one of her most glamorous. But she's evolved, as they say, over many, many years with different looks throughout many different occasions. In fact, she shocked the world by consistently looking totally different. But this particular look, as I say, at the Paris fashion thing, well, it really was a radical change. So much so that it set the internet alight with certain people, including esteemed plastic surgeons, talking about what they're speculating Meghan Markle has had done, or not done, as the case may be. Now, in the interest of clarity, let me point out, I'm not suggesting either way. I'm merely presenting what the internet are presenting at this point. You get the picture, chums. But really, you have to say that Meghan looked totally different, particularly in Paris. She looked, you know, defined, almost like she was a different person. Nothing, of course, like the sort of cheruby pictures that we've seen before. In fact, she changed even radically from the TV show that she'd filmed with Netflix, the As Ever With Love Meghan. So what was the cause of this? Well, naturally, I put a call into the press office, and naturally they don't want to discuss it. But then when I said, well, it's kind of over the internet, this is the reply that I got back, and I wanted to share this with you because I think this is fascinating. You see, there was a two-side fold to this particular story. Suddenly, apparently, the reason why Meghan looks different is she's one of these chameleon-like faces that can make her face look totally different through the art of contouring, makeup, and hairstyles. Right. And secondly, when I said, right, okay, but, you know, very different, you have to agree. Well, apparently, secondly, the reason why Meghan looks so totally different is simply because she's been going through a lot of stress. And as one can imagine, the negative headlines that she's received over a considerable amount of time apparently have added to the weight loss. And that's the reason why you're seeing a totally different Meghan Markle look today. Nothing to do with the scurrilous rumours that Meghan has been under the knife, etc. Now, What's interesting and what I would say is, really, can you see a difference in these two pictures? And are the pictures with Meghan in Paris this week, are they just the artwork of wonderful contouring and expertly applied makeup with a tightened bun? Or indeed, has Meghan totally changed her look? And more importantly, is it a look for the better? What do you think? As ever, let me know in the comments below. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.